Hello, dudes and dudettes.
Would you fucking
Welcome.
Oh my god!
No.
We're not fucking starting with that.
Start
We are
again.
not starting with that.
Alistair, it's not 1996.
God.
Start it again. The word is champs and champettes or nothing.
Saded.
Just drop the N-bomb. Just do it. This is the climax.
Don't do that.
That's the whole
Don't do
episode.
that.
That's the whole episode.
like, I'll really rally against you, and it'll be very offensive. On the other hand, it'll be the apotheosis of all the fucking shit that's happening.
It's just going to be us talking over an exceptionally long bleep. And every so often, Lewis will just interject with "my corona," and then it'll go back to the bleep.
No, then we get demonetized. It's just going to be me going, my.
Bye.
This is all staying in, by the way. This is all staying in.
Oh yeah. If I do believe this is the retrospective of the season that none of us watched.
Yeah, this is the retrospect. Yeah, this is the retrospective of this because there's no anime being made anymore because they've all fucking died.
Yep.
Like that's what's happened. Because I can only presume, and we've all been to Tokyo, haven't we? We all went there
There's
together.
so many people in such a small area. I imagine that if one person coughs, 58 pigeons will spread that shit everywhere.
The thing
Thank
is, actually,
God.
Japan's actually coping incredibly well because of how clean they keep everything, and
I thought you were about to say because they don't have any pigeons.
Yeah, completely.
That's true. To be fair,
it's the fact that they already have the social distancing shit of you put your money
their culture.
You don't have their culture, and it's like their money
there,
doesn't even exchange hands; it gets put in a fucking tray.
Mate, I've seen the videos of the underground. You can't claim that social distancing. Also, can you genuinely remember?
Videos? We were there!
Also, I'm talking about the videos of them when they're like literally pushing people onto the trains. We didn't get that.
We were on the Kyoto Osaka line. It was fucking busy. Like,
Also,
not to mention. Also, we've been to Akihabara. Like, fuck, that's gonna close, or else they're gonna get masturbation material. All those fucking otaku are literally one bad wank away from suicide.
I'm also just wondering here: does anyone remember actually seeing pigeons in Tokyo?
Yes. I remember seeing crows.
Yeah,
Crows aren't
They were pigeons, and they are completely opposite of the ones we get over here, in the fact that they don't fly away from people because obviously they're just very curious birds. You know?
They've just got small switchblades in their wings that are just like occasionally stabbing at people.
It's because the Japanese only eat rice, vegetables, and pork, so it's never occurred to them to actually consider pigeons as animals, much like the Chinese.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that we've, I'm not even going to, the karate, but there we go.
I like how that was the issue with the sentence, not like casual joke about genocide.
I was desperately trying to stare away from it, just like the Who stares away from Taiwan being a country.
Mm-hmm.
The Who? What the fuck? What the fuck's an English rock band got to do with fucking?
Sorry, Who?
What the fuck's that? What's that got to do with fucking best Korea? I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
Also,
what are we doing here?
All staying in. It's all staying in.
Not going out.
Oh yeah,
Not
absolutely.
staying in.
As our listeners may be noticing, we are trying to stave off insanity, and for some of us, it's too late.
Yeah,
Mate,
I was already way gone. This is fine.
Most of us were already gone before all this. It's just given us the opportunity to let it out.
Ben, Joe, in a weird way, I probably lived with you two the longest consecutively. Like, how many steps away from madness was I already? Let's take an average. Like, what do we think? How many?
Half, I suppose.
Well, no, yeah. Problem is, we not lived together that much. Is the thing.
No,
Curious
good
to get
point.
like, Joe, Ben, thoughts? Like,
I think you were actually fairly far off madness simply because of the fact that you could drive others to madness during the time.
I think.
Right.
I
thought you were already there, but you just disassembled it and hidden it around in everyone else's houses. And now that you're stuck in one place, it's all come back together. So it's more of a return to form rather than a.
Yeah.
His powers returning to him.
I need to return to my nomadic powers. I don't know. Because I've only really got one place I can visit at the minute, and that's not as tenable. That explains it. I'm basically just gonna go start breaking down other people's walls with fucking sledgehammers, being like, "I impart to you my madness," and watch as they scream and throw poo at the walls, and I go back and like read books about French military history. Alastair, we started this podcast or what?
I mean,
Stoke-on-Trent's very own Kool-Aid man.
I was just thinking
I'm waiting for people to introduce themselves, to be honest. But
oh, you're waiting for that? Who the fuck is that guy at the top?
What, Craig?
Is it? Yeah, Craig. Hey, Craig. Waiting on you, mate, honestly.
Yeah, come on, man.
Hugh, fucking get on that. What a twat!
Yeah, god damn it. Alright, I'll have to take over. I'm Hugh. I'm the podcast equivalent of the British government currently, probably infected with coronavirus.
I'm Ben. I'm the podcast equivalent of the NHS. Everyone stops giving me any money and then starts praising me and acting like they loved me all along as soon as I do something good.
Did you step outside of your door and applaud the NHS?
No, I opened a window and clapped.
Yeah,
I clapped when I
heard it.
I'm just imagining you sitting there, like, completely normally, then just hearing applause and going, "Oh, crap!"
And that's literally what happened. I heard the applause and went, "Oh shit, it's 8!" Then opened the window, just clapped a little bit.
You didn't even know what you were supposed to be applauding for.
Oh, I know, because my work sent round an email and asked for videos.
Beautiful.
Literally do it or get fired.
It wasn't. Well, they can't prove that we did it or didn't do it.
Well, so, they're asking for videos, mate.
Oh, yeah. Well, they didn't want videos from everyone. They were like, "Oh, we want to put together a compilation showing our company's support." And I'm like, publicity stunt.
Yeah, I hate that this is what's happening. What about the other guy?
Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm the podcast equivalent of Mountain Blade Bannerlord. I can give you 8 years of anticipation, and I'll crash as soon as you open up to me.
Ben was late because he was playing it.
It didn't crash for me. It's not crashed at all for me.
I've had a few people say it crashed, but it seems to be okay for now. I haven't actually played it. I was just more of a going for a joke.
Crash earlier.
Thanks for crashing the joke.
I'm sorry, Joey. I'll go back to my corner.
How big was the day one?
Yeah. 9.
Fantastic.
What about me? Hello, I'm Lewis. As you no doubt able to tell, I'm already sending you to madness. I suppose I'm the podcast equivalent of the general otaku culture at the minute. Going mad like I always had done, isolated from friends and family, but at least if you come around to my place, thanks to FAQ.net and Pornhub, you can masturbate for free.
Really? Oh. That's a thing that you can do now?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I thought everyone hated FAQ for what they did to previous...
and they're using this.
Yeah, I was about to say, and they're using this to bounce back with good publicity. So now there's some high quality pornography for all of you out there. So
and then there's Pornhub who have just been, pretty good with the banter anyway for years. They've just been quite good at all that.
For any of you who would like a... Oh, sorry, go on.
Well, Pornhub's like, they do the yearly statistics. It's really interesting because genuinely, like, looking at the statistics, most countries' second, never first, but second viewed category is hentai.
Except for Russia, who's first by a long way.
Yep, and for all those of you who would like to come and get a free login to FAQ.net, come to Stoke-on-Trent and just listen for the flat with pounding techno music coming out the side of it.
I did that.
The techno music ain't the only thing pounding in that flat.
Absolutely.
I
like to think that then you just shout out your username and log in like at the point of orgasm each time.
If you're willing to share, I was saying if you're willing to share, I estimate I've got about 40 cubic meters worth of space in this place. That's a lot of spunk.
Oh God.
Oh no.
What about the guy that said, "Oh no"?
Sorry, 40 meters cubed. I know so crusty Ben, it gets refreshed.
Anyway,
it's layered. Like lasagna.
If you crack into it, it's like an old fucking sample of amber. You can tell its age by the concentric rings.
It's weirdly a bit like a Kinder Surprise egg.
Why is this going this direction? Why?
You smash in like, oh, it's my copy of Samurai Warriors.
Yeah, but yeah. I do also find it a bit alarming that went for Kinder Surprise though, not something else, because Kinder Surprise of course translates to Child Surprise. So surprise!
Oh God!
Oh, for God's sake!
What about you?
He can help you now.
And I'm Alastair. I'm the podcast equivalent of your harem MC in a post-apocalyptic anime where I make sure that all of my girls have some form of bullet-dodging boob physics.
Good. That's an old one.
How fast are you swinging the body pillows?
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, Alistair, it's quite easy for you. You're like, right, I need to make sure all my girls have got body swinging boob physics. Look around at the nothing around you. Oh, a job well done.
I feel like my roast was at least motivated. Why the drive-by on your end?
That was a senseless street killing.
Yeah, I just drove up to Alistair and went, no.
I'll just crawl back into my hole of loneliness.
Watch
the corpse fall, and then when he's not done yet, and fired a couple more, drove off, and then reversed over the corpse again.
Yeah, Ben's been banished to the corner. Alistair's going back to his hole. Hugh's driving away after his drive-by. I guess that just leaves Joe and I in the fucking techno room.
Lewis, I thought we just established Alistair has no holes to go back to.
Oh, Ben, please.
And there's the double tap.
Ben, please. Ben walks past, sees the three bits of biscuits, and Alistair's got and went, boys. For reference, viewers, Alastair was complaining earlier that he couldn't buy 4 lots of biscuits from a supermarket.
First world problems, am I right?
It's a lot of biscuits.
But... See, I was judging it based off the type of biscuit, but Alastair refused to tell me at first because he didn't deem me worthy of knowing what type of biscuit he was purchasing.
Probably. Did you know that Bourbon biscuits are actually vegan?
Are they actually?
Yeah, they're pretty much just made entirely of chemicals.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so, the more you know.
It's also slightly worrying.
What do you mean by worrying?
Well, when you describe it as they're made purely of chemicals, I'm like, oh.
Chemical.
I don't.
That's the bad touch.
You are also like made purely chemicals. I had a vegan pizza the other day. It must be said, it wasn't actually that different from anything else. But oh my god, the texture of the cheese. It's no other texture I've ever tasted.
I work with a vegan, and a little while ago she brought in vegan cheese, and she turned and went, "Oh, do you want to try some vegan cheese?" I'm like, "Yeah, go on, I'll try some vegan cheese." And she opened it up, and I'm pretty sure she'd killed a raccoon and stuffed it in that box. It smelled awful. Tasted good.
Good to know you're working with a sadist. Yeah, you're working with a fucking sadist, mate.
Oh dear.
So did anybody actually watch anything of last season?
Well, for everyone, we'll start by saying, for anyone who's not a degenerate pirate, you can finally watch Beastars on Netflix.
Woo!
Been enjoying it so far. I'm about halfway through.
Pretty good.
I enjoyed it.
I'm also about halfway. Let's open with that. Fuck
That's
it.
what I was doing.
We're all furries now.
I like school sluts. One of my good friends was a school slut. I like their inclusion. I like the fact it's not entirely about the school slut. Like I feel a lot of the marketing made it about. I'm happy about that.
I feel like the show was exceptionally well put together. It had some good writing, some good characters. I think the only problem I had with it is that every so often it needs to remember to take its head out of its own asshole and stop preaching at me. Because I like the plot and the story, I just don't like the fact that every 10 to 20 minutes it stopped and decided to have a nice little philosophical debate with itself, despite the fact that I'd heard that philosophical debate maybe about 4 or 5 times already.
This is actually quite a decent segue from veganism. Sorry, just occurred to me. Continue, Ben. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just like Evangelion, though, isn't it? Where Shinji doesn't shut the fuck up moaning in his head about shit. It's just the same
we're not getting into this.
I'm drawing a comparison between characters of they're both young, they both don't know what they're doing properly in things,
and they're both furries.
And they're both
exactly. To play devil's advocate, Shinji Ikari's lawyers would like you all to know that he doesn't complain all the time or stop whining. He merely discusses things.
Yeah, I was going to say every so often he sleeps as well.
Goddamn litigation.
Shut the fuck up, Hugh! He's a fucking nuanced character!
I love Shinji. I think Shinji's one of the best characters ever written. But back to Legoshi. Legoshi, I feel, who is the main character of Beastars, by the way, has the unfortunate issue that he's a very well-rounded character, but has the issue of well-rounded with a bump on the top. And every time there's a lull in anything, the camera and the show goes, right, bump at the top. And it stares back at the...
What do you mean by... What do you mean bump at the top? Like, are you on about his, like, bulbous wolf penis?
No. Yes, absolutely.
Surely it's barbed.
What I mean is, you know how you have a rounded character?
Yes. Yeah.
A rounded character, but then there's an imperfection in the rounded character that they can't keep on going back to, which is the bump. Which is his, I don't want to be like a carnivore, but they keep going back to it a bit too often for my liking, because I like him as a character regardless.
Of the show.
Like, I know.
I mean, the entire theme of the show is the whole, like,
I know
carnivore.
I know that. But the problem is, we get about 4 episodes of him saying the exact same thing with no change to the actual status quo. Then a change happens in the black market. Then we have a different point of view towards this whole carnivore thing. But then after 4 episodes, that point of view hasn't changed again, and we're still going on about it. Then we have another change of point of view. I feel like if it occasionally had a change of view, did the whole thought process, made you have to think about it, and then carried on with the plot, I'd be more happy with it than if what it essentially does, which is stops every single episode and reiterates its premise to you without a new thing to say yet.
See, my problem with that, Hugh, is the fact that it's a societal issue, and you can't change a societal issue in 4 episodes, otherwise you end up with a show that's just like, why are all the carnivores just okay with shit now?
It's not maybe a societal issue, because it's very much an issue that Legoshi is currently having. And yes, you have got other characters that are shown to also have the issue, but the whole point of the show is this is what Legoshi thinks about this issue. This is how Legoshi is sorting.
Well, that's because he's the main character.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. And the problem is he doesn't have a particular change in his opinion between episodes 1 and 4, and it keeps reiterating exactly his point. They just go, this is what I think. And the next episode, here's the same thing that I think again. Then the next episode, I still think this. Then a change happens, and it goes back into his head, and he goes, my opinions have changed slightly. But then it does that again for a little while. Well, opinions change again, and I just felt it was a bit too.
I'd argue his
on
opinions.
The nose.
His opinions don't change slightly. He just accepts himself more.
Yeah, that's a change. Yeah. But the whole idea is that's a change. We're not. I don't need to be bashed over the head with constant reminders of what your show is trying to tell me. I can get it without the constant pressure of a monologue.
I think it's like the thing is, I don't think it's too over the top in my opinion of like how much it goes over it. And as I have known through personal experience and blah blah blah, thinking about issues that are, and where or not, what Legoshi is going through is a mental issue. This is a thing that he's trying to work out mentally and blah 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 blah, and trying to work out himself. These things take time to mull over. They don't just happen in the space of in a very short period of time. These things mull over in your head for quite a long period of time. So I think it makes sense, the fact that over the course of however many episodes, bearing in mind this is only 12 episodes, and we know that there are more coming, that these changes will come, but they'll just come gradually rather than instant. Because, I mean, there are other shows that have done changes that I've watched recently that literally do, like, so many things change in between episodes, and it's like, wait, what? Have I missed something? And, like, it goes too quickly. And I think, okay, yes, there's a balance between do the things happen too quickly or too slowly, but in my opinion, I think it's the right speed.
No. At no point did I mention pace. I feel that my criticism is getting lost in translation here. I don't have a problem with the pace at which he changes.
Much like Netflix's subtitles.
I have a problem with how often I am reminded about what he currently feels. It's not that I'm expecting a change every single episode. What I don't expect and what I don't want, and what I feel this show does a bit too much of, is going, here is what the character thinks when that character has not had a change in thought. I don't need to hear it again. I would just rather get on with what is a very interesting story with good characters. I don't need to occasionally have it stop and go, by the way, here's what the character thinks. It's still the same as last episode, but we thought we'd reiterate it to you.
Yes, yeah, I'm fine with them doing that because I see it more of as it's Legoshi just telling himself constantly, and that he needs that in order to keep going as he is.
His reassurance, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's a character that's shown to be very already out of it.
To quote Lewis, but it's not interesting. That's the point.
I think it is.
No, I'm not meant like that. What I mean, come on, go off my back. What I meant.
Don't show it off then.
No, fuck off.
Have opinions.
Fuck off. What I meant was, this is what he's feeling. That's good. Is it interesting to constantly hear it? No. That's the point, though, because we need to hear it constantly because that's what he's feeling. But it's not interesting to watch. Yeah, but we need to hear it because that's what he's feeling. It's not.
Go ahead, Liz.
No, sorry. To play a mind devil's advocate, I will say I think the show is definitely its most interesting when we're watching Legoshi's interactions with Johnny Antler, Tony the Tiger, and Slut Bunny. Like, I think when he's actually got material to work with, it can be a bit better.
Cadbury's chocolate bunny.
Well, it's just Slut Bunny, isn't she? Like fucking every scene is about her fucking shacking everyone. But anyway, but no, I do think it's the most interesting one. We got this three characters interact because I think that so right. The show isn't necessarily about the whole vegetarianism versus carnivorism. I think it's about inherent versus earned talent would kind of be my thrust as to where it comes from, and that's naturally expressed through vegetarianism and carnivorism because Legoshi has power. Legoshi has power, right? He's born with it, tough, right? He's got it. Yep. You got the odd mouse character wandering around. I know it's ridiculous, but you're thinking that character would make a shit main character because they just get bullied all the time because there's no way
they would be a shonen protag. They would literally be a shonen protag.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Johnny Antler, who wasn't really born with any power, has accrued it over time. All right. Yeah. Now here's where I make my very Lewis thesis statement here. A lower class somehow in control of everything, a main character who's trying to be heroic, portrayals of women as being slutty, rejections of a left-right paradigm in a stagnating society. This show is fascist!
That is a very Lewis thing. If it's not Nazi wizards, it's definitely fascism.
This show is exploration of fascist ideology!
I also saw
again Japan.
I also saw this as being.
I'm sorry, your god can't help you.
No, it's fine. I also saw this as a bit of an analogy about addiction and having an addiction that you be it earned or not earned, that you are trying to fight against. The whole idea that Legoshi is kind of addicted to meat, even though he's not really tried it before. He's got that carnivorous instinct, constantly pushing him to try and do it, even though in his head he knows he doesn't want to.
Some people are just meant to smoke opium, and that's okay.
And if they say no, you bring in the British Army.
And if you say no, you bring in a panda who is like, oh, yeah, I can take skag or not.
I've learned not to take the skag, because that's what my animal does.
I'm going to chain you up in the basement until you see the ways through counselling as to why you shouldn't have opium. But sir, I don't want opium. Shut up and sit there.
I'm going to take your photo and put it on this wall of sinners, but I haven't sinned yet. Shut up.
Can we take a minute bewildered-looking people?
Can we take a minute to appreciate the panda who literally just finds a random wolf, beats him up, takes his photo against his will, after kidnapping, takes his photo against his will, and then just gives him porn.
And then later on goes,
I'm sorry, Joe, it's done. I'm sorry, Joe, it's done now. It's done now.
Wait, I thought you were halfway through, you said.
Yeah,
the halfway through the 12 episodes, not the 20.
That's 4 episodes! That's episode 4!
Okay, then I haven't reached that yet.
Benjamin is correct on this one. It's okay, though. Basically, for whatever reason, panda bears haven't died out in this ridiculous universe, including ours. And there's a main character involving it.
I hate pandas with a burning passion. That is an animal species that they don't deserve to live. If you're a species that has a heat cycle that is 1 day a year, and then when that heat cycle comes around, looks at your preferred mate and goes, maybe another day, then you don't get to live.
actively eat stuff that they shouldn't be able to digest. Right. Yep.
Yeah,
pandas are
exactly.
fucking stupid.
Well, I just want to mention the elephant in the room of the.
There's not an elephant in the show, no, mate.
There is.
I know, but
Alright.
can we just quickly talk about?
Fuck down. That was
Ben,
not the
spoilers!
joke. That was not the joke, mate. But alright.
Can we quickly just talk about the
Actually,
fact
there
that
is.
Netflix cannot be consistent with its naming translation?
No, it cannot. The dub. I'm watching it dubbed. It's a very good dub. I also have the subtitles up because I love having subtitles on anyway. And
They don't match.
The two do not match in the
Is it
slightest. It
Hal
is
Or
infuriating.
Haru? Is it Rui or Lewis? Or
Yeah.
Louis, sorry.
It's
Is it Legoshi or oh, that wasn't.
it's Legoshi, it's Louis, and it's fucking and it's
Haru.
Haru.
It's Rui because they
Rui.
can't pronounce
Rui,
L. Because they
senpai.
can't pronounce L in Japan.
Yeah,
It's
which
Rui.
to me in my head when I read that, like, because I was reading it and I was going through it first, because it said like like something like one of the descriptions I was
Hal
reading, and it said
of-
Hal, and I'm like, who the fuck is Hal? Am I
It's the
forgetting
main
half of
robot
what happened?
from
then I'm like,
20,000
oh.
Space Odyssey.
Oh, and then I saw another one that said Louis, and it says Rui, and I'm like, oh my god, it's just racist. It hurt
No,
that the
but-
Japanese can't pronounce Lu and would be like the RU was like Haru.
The Lali
And-
Lulelo.
No,
and-
I was about to say.
And
Lali
Louis, they were like
get that.
Rui.
I would get that
now-
if they were actually consistent, but they're not consistent because basically what we know is that in Japanese people they can't pronounce L, so they do an R. But then I would understand it if one of them said Rui and Haru, and the other one said Louis and Hal. But no, they're the opposite way round. They're like
You're
mixed. So you've got Rui and Hal,
It's
and
almost as if
Why?
Netflix don't care as much as they should.
because they're
Boy,
all all
howdy.
the money.
Boy, howdy, that was a pretty diverse review of that interspecies show.
What was
Stop
it?
it,
Me and Ben were talking about it
It's
yesterday.
finished now.
Yeah,
I know. Shed a tear.
me and Ben were talking
Pour
about
one out.
it yesterday, and thanks, mate.
Pour one out, man.
I know.
I'm not
I was in
not
the
gonna
middle
lie.
of
What's
talking,
the
but no,
words?
it's fine.
No, it's okay. It's all right. Sorry. It's
No, I was
sorry.
literally in the middle of a sentence, and I got interrupted. No, it's fine.
Okay,
I
that's
mean,
fine.
you interrupted Lewis's
So-
sentence to get your sentence out, so.
No,
Yeah,
I
there we
didn't.
go. We're playing fucking sentence snap here, as I was gonna say. I quite like the robot episode. I didn't think it could get any out there, and they just kept going. They just kept going. They did it. They did it.
oh my god.
Oh, I see. You don't want to
I haven't
Admit it.
I haven't finished
Ah.
it yet.
cowardice. I see what this is now. So we're all happy to admit there are a bunch of fucking furries watching some Beastars type shit. But oh no, then we have to actually admit that we found the mushroom scene pretty decent.
That was
Apparently
not the episode I watched. It was
Cowards. Cowardice.
I still
getting
haven't
through the
watched
rest of it.
Thank you, comrade in my. Alastair, I said
Yeah,
a wink. I said a wink. Like that's all right.
I
You haven't
haven't,
seen it
it's
yet.
true.
Wink. Yeah,
I haven't
that's
watched
fine.
it.
To be fair, he wasn't watching.
Wink. He wasn't watching it. Was he listening to it creepily?
That's the one.
That's fine. I see how this segues died. That's fair enough. That's okay. Ben, you're being conspicuously quiet. That's okay. I understand you. I understand that you've got your partner, but it's all right. You can admit it here. She'll never listen to this.
Oh, mate, she will when I duct tape her down and force it to play on repeat.
There we fucking go. And then you'll slice it with some interspecies reviewers.
No, I won't do that. There's better
I-
hentai I can force her to watch.
I
I'll
found the Golem
admit it.
episode to be creepy. Like
Did
that was the only creepy episode up until that point, because as you've said previously, it was all consensual knobbing, and then suddenly we had one where it's like build your perfect woman, and then they were like, here is a perfect representation of the maid, and I'm like, I don't like this anymore. This is now creepy.
Did you?
That does
I
sound
just-
a bit
sex doll.
It's
I
just
just think-
creepy suddenly.
I just didn't think they'd go that far. Was the thing. Like I thought they'd run out
creepy.
of
is it?
steam. That's okay. That's fair enough. This bit didn't work as well as I'd hope it would. If I'm being honest, you're all being too awkward for it. Let's
I
segue
reckon-
again.
Okay.
I mean,
That's okay.
I could
I'd
talk-
rather. Oh, sorry, Hugh.
No, I could talk about how I found the Konosuba movie to be creepy.
Please do so now.
No, fair. I watched the Konosuba movie's been added onto Crunchyroll. I watched over the last couple of days.
Is this the new one?
The only Konosuba movie.
The one that was being advertised. The one that was being advertised while we were in Japan.
Sorry, I didn't know that there wasn't one before.
What's it called, Alastair? The Legend of the Crimson?
Legend of the
Crimson Demon.
Crimson Demon or something like that, yeah.
Either which way it is.
Or Legend of Crimson or something.
It is on Crunchyroll now for you to go and watch. Two things. Number one, it does not feel like a movie. It feels like someone gave JC Staff budget for 4 episodes of Konosuba and went, make 4 episodes of Konosuba. You don't need to do cuts between episodes. We'll just make it one big movie to make a lot of money. And number two, Kazuma goes and is just creepy in it. Like, I liked the movie. I thought it was funny. I still like the characters. Kazuma's now creepy. It's not even like a slightly funny, weird person who has the occasional creepy thought. It's straight up like sexual harassment now, and I don't like it.
Why? What did he do?
There's a scene where him and Megumin get locked in a room together by Megumin's mum, and he basically spends a good 2 to 3 minutes wondering whether or not he can sleep with Megumin because he's been given permission by the parents. And then when he decides to, think his way out of it, and Megumin goes, but what if we did sleep together? He pulls his pants off and screams, I was always planning to do that in the first place. And she goes, I knew it, I'm leaving. And I'm thinking,
Isn't Megumin like 10?
She's
14. She's 14 in the movie.
Makes it so much
the Japanese minimum requirement.
She's 14 actually. It's so much better.
God.
I know that he didn't mean it in that way, but that's so how it came across.
I did not mean it in that way, but
I can understand it. If you go and watch the scene, it just comes off as creepy, and I don't like it. I really liked the movie because I thought the movie had some very good gags in it. That scene was a real tainted fruit. It's like watching Nisei Monogatari and
tainted fruit? Oh god! Where was the fruit component of that? Oh god!
A peach, I imagine.
It's like when you're watching Nisei Monogatari and then you get the toothbrush scene. It's like, this taints it. Like, overall, this is still good. It's got a few bits
the
bobs
snail
aren't
trail,
great, but Snail Trail's not in season 2 really that much, Joe. Yeah. I'm talking about the specific.
I've seen 2 episodes of Monogatari, mate. Sorry, like that's the best I've got for you.
Nisei Monogatari, Joe, I'll have you find, is based around his sisters.
And who are both also underage.
It's just a colossal incest fetish. Leave him alone. Let him brush his sister's teeth and tongue if he wants to.
But you see what I mean? It's a scene that is a great example of a scene that taints the show. Because a lot of people, a lot of people, when they think about Bakemonogatari and Nisei Monogatari and the Monogatari series, they think of Snail Trail and the brushing teeth scene. And
Quick scope,
and it's suddenly a tainted fruit. And no matter how good you can try and argue the series is, you've got the tainted fruit there. And I feel that the Konosuba movie's got the exact same problem. Overall, I liked the movie. I thought it was good. But there's that one scene that's the tainted fruit where I won't be able to
say fruit.
I was about to say, God, it's lost all meaning.
But if I went to go back to watch that, I would look at that scene and go, I don't want to watch this scene again. I just don't. It makes me uncomfortable. The two, like, I love the Monogatari series. It's my second favorite anime of all time. The toothbrush scene makes me uncomfortable. And I just feel that's the issue that the Konosuba movie has. It's got this. It's a real sticking point for me.
Yeah, like,
just from the other perspective, like for me anyway, that scene. Well, I didn't really think.
Here's your shovel, Alastair. Prep for hole.
It doesn't like for me. I mean, it's a different comparison because one, I'd read the light novel before, so I knew what was coming anyway. So
I knew the attempted sexual rape was coming up.
But I think the movie might have overdone it a bit. I can't remember quite how how it was written in the light novel and how
I'm with Alastair on that one. I like both of us read light novels. I don't remember it being that creepy in the book. But it is definitely creepy. But that's because there's probably not that visual element to it.
Yeah, and the book's most likely better than the film. That almost makes it worse. That the film has taken something which isn't as creepy and has gone, what if we made it creepier?
I don't think they've actually made it creepier. I think it's just because you visually see it.
Yeah.
The thing is with that, it didn't bother. I didn't think it was that bad. And actually, the point is at the way it was actually depicted in the book, at least, was actually quite endearing. The thing is, you forget Kazuma's 15.
Endearing sexual assault on this 14-year-old girl.
The thing is, Hugh,
don't you get it? Hugh, in Japan, they have to say no.
Kazuma isn't our age. Kazuma is 15, 16. There's only a 2-year age gap between the two characters, and if you read further in the light novels, it makes it
better that the 15-year-old's a sexual assault.
Hugh, stop interrupting, mate.
There is literally a romantic connection between the two characters that does develop, and it starts literally in that volume. And it's the point is that's a relationship that is developing, and it's yes, okay. Some people can say it's creepy. There's other bits in the movie that other people are against. Specifically, there is a very transphobic section and a joke on rape that some people don't like. I found them particularly funny, and I think that's the thing with a lot of comedy movies like this and comedy shows and blah blah blah. It is funny up until the point it isn't.
Well, no,
and then it's not.
It's the other way around, Alastair. Something is funny if you're not offended. That's it. That's all it'll ever be. It's the same with everything. I think we've had this conversation before on the podcast. When is something funny and when is it offensive? When is something fine and when is it offensive? It's just whether you laughed or not. That is literally the only thing.
Is something offensive? No, I laughed at it. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I found that is still probably out of all the light novels of Konosuba that I've read, and I've read up to I'm currently reading volume 9, so I've read the first 8. That is still my favorite volume out of all of them, and I think the movie did a pretty good job at adapting it. There's a couple of jokes that are cut out, but that's the same with the first 2 seasons.
I forget the numbers. Have they been to the casino bit yet? Have you done that?
No, the casino's volume 10. I haven't got that yet.
Cool.
I'm going to be honest. I'm skipping through the movie while this is happening, and I'm not seeing the scene. I've seen a scene where they end up locked in a room, but nothing where he ends up pulling his pants down.
It's the pulling the pants down is a 2-3 second gag before it then cuts to her jumping out the window. It's the entire proceeding.
I've not even seen her jumping out the window.
Again, very small section. It's the preceding 2 to 3 minutes of him walking around her while she's in bed, genuinely thinking to himself.
I saw her cuddle up to him and her say and he was like, "Oh, I guess this is my popular line." And then
there are two scenes where they're in bed together.
That is the second night when he actually freezes the window shut,
which is still really creepy.
Oh, that sounds bad.
Yep, he freezes the window shut. Forgot about that. He freezes the window shut to stop her escaping, and somehow that's not the creepier of the two scenes.
Oh.
You can see where my problems came from.
Genuinely forgot about that one.
Nothing happens, and the sense of you also know. The thing is, Kazuma is a character. Kazuma is a character who you actually know. He says these things, but you know as emotionally he would never actually do it because he's too much of a coward. So yes, he says these things, but it would never actually go through as a fruition.
It doesn't make it better. It's still a real creepy scene. Having someone who's not going to do the action but still talks about whether or not they should do the action still feels
I'm reminded of the Always Sunny but the implications scene.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay to contemplate rape and murder if you're too much of a coward to do it.
It's just I will say, I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here. I liked the movie. I thought the movie was very funny. It got some really big laughs out of me. I enjoyed it. If a third season of Konosuba turns up, I will watch it without any question. I still really like Konosuba. It's just that is a sticking point. Like, I'm focusing in on it because it really did a disservice to that movie. I feel if you cut that scene out, the movie would be significantly better.
It's in a long line of really awkward sexual moments in Japanese comedy movies. Konosuba movie, Nisa Monogatari, End of Evangelion. The list goes on. Like, yeah.
The End of Evangelion one is always one of those ones where you sit there and go, I love
Take
this
a drink
movie.
every time we bring up Evangelion.
Yep.
This cruel thesis is gonna go grab some cider.
I love End of Evangelion. Looks at please don't do this to me again.
So, like, the thing is, just like as my final point on this, it does the whole point of a lot of that movie is that movie is literally about Megumin. It's the Megumin movie, and the whole movie culminates up to the point at the end, which is, to be honest, one of my favorite moments in the entirety of Konosuba, which is where
explosions,
where Megumin literally goes to Kazuma and is like, I've realized that maybe me having just explosion isn't a good idea, and maybe I should get other skills. Here's my card because I can't actually do it myself. Give me other spells, and Kazuma just goes and upgrades explosion and gives it back to her.
I think you should have character development. No, well, we like this one trick pony you are. Beep.
No, but you say it isn't character development. It is though.
Hugh, I told you not. Hugh, stop talking about Monogatari.
People find it funny.
It is character development though for Kazuma, because the thing is, he goes and accepts Megumin for what she is, rather than trying to change her, which is.
I will side with Alastair on this one.
Yep.
No. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying it.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Here's a counter to what you just said, but I'm not arguing. Hugh, you're being Schrodinger's asshole again.
I'm just enjoying this fucking wild ride here.
Wahoo.
Wahoo.
Hugh, you're rapidly turning into the Boromir of this discussion. I'm just saying. Like...
Good. I'm played by Sean Bean. Perfect.
You're played by Sen Ben.
I mean, this is kind of a perfect segue into Alastair's Isekai Corner, to be honest.
Oh, no, I want to get out.
Wait, hang on a minute. What Isekais were there this season?
Shield Lolly.
Shield Lolly's
Shield
not
Girl.
an Isekai. See, is Shield Lolly an Isekai?
Kind of.
She's in a video game and she's.
It's Sword Art Online an Isekai.
Yes.
Well, they're trapped there. They're trapped there. So yeah, I think the distinction is very specific with.
Do they die? Do they die in real life if they
No.
die in the game?
No, it's a girl.
It's the log horizon then. Yeah.
No, well, no. You know, second season of Sword Art where they can go in and out of Gun Gale Online.
Yeah, they end up getting killed, air quotes, in real life by being shot with a gun.
Yeah, a guy literally just comes to your house and goes, nothing personal, kid.
Not even a gun, guys. Not even a gun. It's a syringe.
It's a syringe, isn't it?
Oh, damn it.
Shield Lolly is they've got VR games, but she goes into the VR game to play the game, but then comes out of it when she's done. So, like, would you call that an isekai, or would you
it scratches that itch, though. It's the same, like, itch scratching of.
I'm willing to.
Axel World is classed as an isekai, I think, and it's the same concept. So I'd say yes.
I'm willing to concede this. What is it actually called, as opposed to just Shield Lolly?
I don't like being hurt, so I maxed out my defense stat or something like that.
Indeed.
Yeah, that.
I watched the final episode of that just before we started.
It's going to go season 2.
I know the name. I don't actually know anything about the show except for its obvious premise from the title.
Yeah, pretty much. It
becomes OP by combining a bunch of a bunch of skills that basically make it OP.
It's a game about talking about how the beta testers didn't do their fucking job and they should have play tested it.
Yeah,
what a bunch of twats.
It's essentially...
Lewis, let's get in on this.
Sad.
It falls into the problem of Japanese authors can't figure out how to make game mechanics work properly, And so they're just like, oh,
yeah. Let's be honest. Every game has always had a terrible system to it. Like, the UI,
SAO, like
that UI is incredible.
Like they would be like this game will be dead in 5 minutes. Is the issue?
Oh yeah.
SAO is the kind of game where if you had like an egg, you'd have to have separate points in boiling and frying in order to prepare them the two separate ways. And both of them could give you a combat stat somehow.
You can use a skillet in combat to fry someone's face.
Yeah. Shield
Sun
Lolly.
side down, fucker.
Shield Lolly has got loads and loads of little things where it's like,
oh god, she's a lolly as well.
Yeah, well, it's called, hence why we called it Shield Lolly. It's like, I've unlocked this skill. Okay, well, what does that skill do? Well, it does this. It's broken. Okay, is it going to get nerfed? No. I've unlocked this other really powerful skill. It's rather funny to watch, actually, because
you just get one skill nerfed. Like the first skill she gets, which is Devour, gets nerfed, and she gets, instead of infinite uses, she gets 10 uses, because in the first event she basically TPK'd the entire, like, so many players by just devouring them, which insta kills them when they hit her.
This sounds like a PG-13 Helsing.
It's a very strange one.
Watch the human blender go forth. Like that just sounds like what the show sounds like to me. Like...
Basic premise of the show: girl doesn't like the concept of pain, hence why the title is "I don't want to get hurt," and so she puts
pain.
I was going to say, wait, so this is a VR game whether people actually feel pain.
Apparently so.
And someone let this little girl buy it. Her parents
really
are terrible.
Well, she's like 14. Oh god, I did it too.
You did it.
You catch the disease, Hugh.
She puts all her points into defense and keeps putting her points into defense. Technically, it's vitality, but there we go. She just keeps on putting into that, and that until eventually she gets to the point where, because she's basically can't be hurt or can't be damaged, she starts unlocking more powerful skills like, poison resistance.
My numbers are better than yours.
Well,
yeah, pretty much.
It's because her defense is so high, she keeps being able to basically solo bosses that shouldn't be able to be soloed, so therefore keeps unlocking skills that you shouldn't be able to be unlock from the bosses. Also, she decides to start eating the things she kills, which gives her the skills of the things she eats, and she just literally goes and just eats the boss in the third episode. Or something.
Now the best thing about
if they put the graphic details, that sounds really cool.
Now the best thing about this show is not her as a character. No, she bites into textures. The best thing about this show is not her. It's watching the developers of the game seeing her getting ridiculously powerful and going, "We've got to nerf this badly." And it's rather amusing because the entire show is essentially about, like you say, beta testers not doing their job properly, and how games can be completely broken by someone who comes in who just has a different point of view to everything.
So it's the South Park episode Make Love Not Warcraft, except we're on the fat guy's side.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, yeah. That is exactly it. And the fat guy is a lovely tiny shield lolly who is kind of adorable, actually. Please don't be silent when I say that.
Nope, that's perfectly isolated, Hugh.
Perfect.
Yep. We'll take that clip.
Brilliant.
Whoever edited, clip it and play it 3 times in a row. So we're getting louder and louder.
She is actually rather an enjoyable.
Well, volunteered, Ben.
To be fair, all of the characters are actually.
Yeah.
I think you can probably agree with me here, Alastair, and say that all the characters in the main party are actually rather enjoyable, even if they are kind of one note.
They are one note, but they're enjoyable, and why is
there a party? I thought she soloed everything.
Well, no, she gets a guild later on in the show, and basically gets a.
I feel it has the advantage where it has enough characters that even though they're one-note characters, the interactions between the characters are enjoyable. If I'm forced to sit around and watch these characters on their own for more than 5 minutes, I probably get really bored of them. But because they're constantly interacting with other members of the guild and members of other guilds and enemies and stuff like that, I at least get a lot of different character dynamics, and so it still works.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and I
Lewis,
also
you
like
interrupted you.
the
No, it's alright.
I also like the fun little bit that they do at the end of every episode where they suddenly go into like a chat window with people's reactions to what's currently happening in the episode and what she's doing, and just other players just being like, "Oh, I saw this really interesting shield girl, and like, oh, she was insanely powerful." And
That's
it's like,
just Maple ignore her, which is usually the response most people.
yeah, it's kind of interesting that they added that. Like, I thought that was kind of cool.
The show has given a wonderful masterclass in how to completely segregate your player base, though, because in the final episode you find out that in the fourth event, the winners of the fourth event automatically get a 5% increase on all of their stats. And I'm sat there going, that's great.
That's a fucking terrible idea.
Let's reward the most powerful players with the ability to be more powerful, because that's an easy way to take your game and split it down into people that are the best and everyone else.
For you budding designers out there, this is called a positive feedback loop, as featured in games like XCOM.
Whoop, whoop.
Is this the show with the tortoise?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, cool, sweet. I do want to see more tortoise representation.
Maple syrup. It is called maple syrup. No, it's called syrup. Sorry.
No,
There's maple and syrup.
Yeah, because she's maple and he's syrup.
I've seen a picture of
and
that.
the guild is called Maple Tree.
The land of Canada.
No, the tortoise is quite funny.
It's Canada, you fucking idiot!
I mean,
Canadian!
What she does with the tortoise is just like, oh, because I haven't leveled up my agility, I can't run. So she just gets a pet tortoise, gets the spell to enlarge it, and then gets the spell so it can fly, and therefore uses the tortoise
shamelessly
to get
stolen from Dragon Ball. Shamelessly.
What the fuck is this ultra high tank class which is specking into gravity magic? What shit is this?
It's the show's definitely a
Liza, motherfucker.
Yeah. Cut.
But yeah, no, seriously, the flying tortoise thing, shamelessly stolen from Dragon Ball.
The show is at least imaginative, even if it is shamelessly stealing things from Dragon Ball, because it at least has a lot of interesting skills, a lot of interesting ideas, and how to combine its things. Because instead of just going, she's learned a new skill and that skill is overpowered, well, at least they do that towards the end, to be fair. They do go like, she's got these 3 skills, and if you combine them together, you can create this. So it's like, I need to get down bottom of this hill. Well, I'm poison resistant, and I also have the ability to create a large area of poison. So I'm going to cover myself in a giant poison water ball and throw myself down a cliff. And you're like, okay, imaginative if nothing else.
Yeah.
It does sound a bit Batman's utility belt, though. I'll be honest. Is it literally just the character's got the perfect skill for every situation?
Pretty much. Well.
Oh God, no.
Well, it's not even.
No, it's more like he's been able to combine skills in a way to make them useful.
Speaking of vampires,
he has like 6 major skills, and they're all a thing. Lewis, Castlevania sucks.
Lewis.
I was going to say, Lewis, Castlevania Season 3 is really bad, isn't it?
Alright, I will say that we're gonna have a productive discussion here. Have we all seen Castlevania Season 3?
Nope, I haven't even finished Season
2. Really,
two.
Ben?
Okay,
really?
Ben, have you seen it?
Nope, not started it yet.
God damn it! Well, you're gonna hit spoilers, mate.
What's our spoiler temperature here? How much do we care?
I do care because I've heard very good things and very bad things.
Me and Lewis
so I'd quite like to make my own decision without going in thinking,
All right, in which case, Ben.
We're discussing it now. Either way, there's gonna be no other opportunity for it. But we'll avoid spoilers.
I'll tell you what I've heard, and then we can go from there. I've heard that apparently they ruin Alucard's character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he has nothing to do this season.
No, yeah, he's assassinated.
So they give him a really crap side quest.
They introduce 2 characters who then pointlessly get murdered towards the end.
Again, that's Alucard's side quest.
Just for the reasons of...
No, Hugh.
He can't help it. He genuinely can't help it.
It's the first episode. Come on.
And what's the other thing? Oh, people really hate something that happened with I forgot his name.
Hector.
No, not Hector.
Trevor.
Saint Germain.
Saint Germain, that's the one. Saint
Yeah.
Germain. People seem to really hate everything Saint Germain.
But it's Bill Nye.
So right. Here's my summary of it without spoiling. Basically, season 1
What
of
the fuck is
Castlevania.
toilet paper?
What?
I don't even know anymore. That was predicting the corona, wasn't it? Actually,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
it was. Just a throwaway line of what the fuck is toilet paper. They actually have a conversation about toilet paper.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't remember toilet paper either, but I've just been using like children's schoolwork. But yeah. So
how about we do this? You give a point, I give a point. You give a point, I give a point.
no,
Like fucking.
Lewis, give your
chess.
summary.
Also, that sounds like only 2 people talking when 3 people have seen the show, but sure.
True.
yeah.
So,
No,
you're not allowed
I'm
to
cool.
speak.
I think
No, I'm not
I
because
think-
I'm not because I enjoyed it. It wasn't good, but I'm not allowed to have an opinion because I enjoyed it.
Well, what I meant is
right.
either that or Lewis just talk 10 minutes. One person talk.
I mean, I don't think I'll talk for 10 minutes. You can time me for 600 seconds, but it's very unlikely for me to
It's
go
fine.
that long.
Lewis,
I got
Lewis,
the
go ahead. I'll
stopwatch.
stop you if you take too long.
Yeah, that's all right. But here's my summary. Here's my summary anyway, and here's the basic issues. Because I think that these issues are a continuation of Season 2 of Castlevania's. I don't think many of these are particularly new issues. Season 1 is probably one of my favorite ever piece of animation. It made even greater, I will say. I'm a bit biased. It is made by a Western company, and I think it's probably the first great piece of Western anime to come out for a while. 4 episodes, laser sharp, focused around 2 characters that evolves into 3. Just really fucking strong 4 episodes, right? Clearly polished written. Season 2, bit more bloated. Two different side plots which evolve into 3 side plots where the main 3 characters have much to do and the other main plot line seems to follow the vampires for some reason. Introducing characters, it has some pacing issues and the character arcs are a bit rushed. Season 3 of Castlevania decides to change 1 A rank and 2.5 B rank subplots into 6 D plots that
And
don't
by
interact
the
with
end
each
of the
other.
season,
None of the characters
really haven't pushed the show forward in any capacity.
It's character circles. Nobody has got any character growth whatsoever. Everything happens due to convenience. If something needs to happen in an episode, it'll either be introduced on that episode or the one before, usually. For example, there's a character who's discovered at the end of the series to just be a bastard for no particular reason, and you're introduced to the clue for that the episode before. So there's no setup or payoff. I think this was a first draft because there's just so many instances where a character goes, I really need this to happen. Random character or MacGuffin appears going, have you considered this round the corner? Why I hadn't battle scene, something like that. It's loads of it's a mess. It's a mess. It's just a mess. And they character assassinate Alucard and Hector, I will also say.
I think the major issue is that they wrote 2 seasons of this, went, well, that's a good final one with a few little open points to kind of maybe let people mull over it. And then Netflix went, yeah, but we need a 3rd season and potentially even a 4th. And so they just didn't know what to do for a season. They just didn't know what to do for a season.
I think they very nice. They left it open to continue, but they also left it at a point where it could end because they knew that the games continue and they knew that they'd get picked up if it did well. I don't think Netflix had shit to do with it.
No, hence why I think Netflix went, we need you to make a 3rd and maybe 4th season. So instead of finishing this season with another could end here, they went, here is a 3rd season that doesn't really end at all. Again, like Lewis said, character circles. Yeah. Here is 4 side plots that just kind of happen because we can't think of what to actually do.
The premise is fine here, I will say. Just to talk about your point there, Ben. I don't know how many Castlevania games you have played, but basically the plot of all of them is either kill Dracula or somebody's trying to res Dracula. That's the plot of every Castlevania. We've had the plot where they got Dracula. The plot of this one, sorry if this is spoiler, but like the ultimate plot is res Dracula in various forms.
The problem is the ultimate plot of res Dracula is only one of the 4 side plots.
Yeah. And just for context, at some point in Castlevania canon, it does become like just a thing that Dracula resurrects every 100 years. Whether that becomes something that will happen in this, I highly doubt it, because then they'd have to actually go through generations of goddamn Belmonts. But that is the genuine canon. Dracula will return every 100 years, and
they should have made a new cast. They should have made it.
They should have gone.
There's so many Belmonts.
That would make sense, because then you could round it off quite nicely. Everyone would be happy in the fact that Trevor and Cypher got a happy life together, which is what everyone that ships anything wants.
Yeah. Alucard's immortal, you can bring him back.
Alucard you can literally bring back for the fan service of having Alucard back.
Mm-hmm.
And you can even have like a badass moment where they go to hunt down a vampire and it's Alucard again, and you could even throw in a little wry quip around it, where it's just like, what is it with fucking Belmonts and coming to kill me thinking I'm Dracula?
There you go. That'd been it. That'd have been nice.
I think the other major issue the show has is the show was really, really good at showing character interactions. It had a really good core cast of Cypher, Trevor, and Alucard that bounced off each other really well. Okay, well, what do we do for the third season? Split them up entirely.
I mean, to be fair, and again, this, yeah, they are. But this is the continuation of season 2's problems.
Like, Alucard is in his own side quest. Trevor and Cypher are on their own, and the problem is they don't ever think, let's have Trevor and Cypher do their own thing for a bit. Trevor and Cypher are the same character now. They are always together, and they're basically always doing the same thing. Like, it's just, the only difference is Trevor is slightly more cynical. But it's not even that. Yeah, it's not even that. It's like, it's just here they're doing the exact same thing, but Trevor is slightly more cynical and Cypher's slightly more happy about the entire thing. But in the exact same situation, they would always do the exact same thing, so it actually doesn't matter which one of the two of them is in that situation, because they were always going to end up making the same choice anyway. So
this sounds like Ruby Volume 4.
Yes.
Yeah, you're
not far off.
These problems are a continuation of season 2. I tell you this because as much as we can say that Cypher, Alucard, and Belmont have got a great interaction with each other, how much does that happen in season 2? They've got less than half the screen time, despite being the main characters. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ben. Continue.
Because in 2. They start giving the screen time away to blinking self-flagellation man and
Isaac.
The big old cook gimp.
Isaac and Hector.
Yeah, the cook gimp and self-flagellation man, the two superheroes that we needed.
And Godbrand. I can't remember if that's that.
Peter Stormare. Yes, Peter Stormare. But
that's not fair. Vikings. We make boats. I went a little bit too Arnold Schwarzenegger there. A little bit.
That's alright. He's so fucking good.
Any excuse for any of your impressions.
The thing is, everyone is trying really hard in this series because the battles look as good as ever, which means that the storyboard artists are working harder than ever. There's a lot of natural photography in this, which seems to suggest to me the animators are working really hard. The voice actors are working hard. I think this got assassinated by a bad script. I think it was only one. It was only one read through, and this is again trying not to spoil as much as possible, basically. But there are, I think, to my mind, 5 occasions where a character goes, I need something, and it appears. The worst of this is when a character needs an ability to deal with an enemy, and they get it within 5 seconds. They just have it. That's it. There's another one where a character goes, oh, I really need this artifact in order to succeed. They find it within 5 minutes.
They also don't really...
It's later, and... sorry, do I finish point? I also think... Now... I don't bring up this point very often.
Oh no!
This was definitely written by a fucking white dude, because all of the fucking villains turn out to be mentally ill foreigners, queer foreigners, or women. Those are all the villains. There's every possible minority is represented as being an unlikable cunt in this series.
I mean, that also sounds like it could have been written by someone desperately trying to be Japanese.
I also think the other issue with those characters...
Either way, problem.
I also think the other issue with those characters is the show can't figure out whether or not we're supposed to like the characters or
No, I
dislike
said
them.
this a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
The fucking vampire sisters. Are we supposed to like them or are we supposed to hate them?
I had that problem in season 2 but I had that problem in season 2 in a good way, given that with Hector and with Self-Flagellation Man, which is just a superhero.
Isaac, Jesus.
No, it's a self.
It's not hard. They're English names.
It's SFM.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for reminding me. The enemies in this, the villains and enemies that morally represent people in the show are either bisexual foreigners / queer foreigners, mentally ill foreigners, women, and a Muslim. Lest we forget.
Is he Muslim? Is Sutri Muslim?
Isaac's very Muslim. Like in the show, come on, man. He references Muhammad.
No, I just didn't know if Sutri is like an actual religion that's like a part of something, or if it's just something they made up and it's just harping on.
No, he's Muslim. He is Muslim.
See, I had it in season 2 with the struggling for that because I liked the characters and I was intrigued as to what was going on with them, and I kind of wanted to root for them because I liked the characters, and I could have seen a show with them running as protagonists, working with that sort of thing, but I didn't want to like them because they're against the heroes that I like more.
Non-spoiler.
Yep. I mean, their ultimate goal is genocide. Let's never forget that.
Oh, but you can have a good protagonist that you can get on board with.
Yeah, but you saw Isaac's backstory. You saw Isaac's backstory where he got beaten by the man he professed love to. You saw Hector get fucking shouted down by his parents for trying to bring back a lovely little creature. They're misunderstood. There's some ambiguity there. They are not assholes. Like they are not not going out of the way to kill people for just fuck you.
The other issue with this whole kind of do you like them or do you not is these vampire sisters are clearly being set up as the villains, and they've got an evil plan, but then they have scenes where they try and make them sympathetic and show that they're actually loving to each other, and I'm thinking, how can you... I think they've gotten themselves kind of wrapped up in the whole idea of we need to have a villain who's relatable or sympathetic.
Well, everyone needs to be morally ambiguous. Everyone needs to be morally ambiguous, and their resort to this is to make everyone a cunt. Is what they've done. Like,
the problem is, it's not even. They're not even. The problem with the vampire sisters is they're not even morally ambiguous. They're just evil. But then every so often they go, but now the two of them are professing love to each other and being lovey-dovey on a roof, and it's like,
cunts can do that, unfortunately.
Get why? So let's go to someone like Thanos from Infinity War and Endgame. He had an overall evil plan, but for a good reason. He was like, I want to destroy half the world, but I want to do it so that the other half can survive and prosper and be better.
Just a massively flawed logic on the fact that if you can destroy half the universe, you can also make another.
Yeah, exactly. But like, it was flawed, but he was morally ambiguous because even though he was a villain, he had the right reasons for going about his plot. Whereas
until he gets pissed off and just goes, "I'm going to enjoy this."
Yeah, fuck it.
That is
everything.
I have many problems with that part of Endgame, but there we go. Whereas in Castlevania, it's like, here is the 3 vampire ladies plot. Is there any good reason behind their evil plan? Nope, it's just an evil plan for evil reasons. So I don't get why they're suddenly trying to make me like them as well.
Yeah, and it's basically fucked. It's not thought through. It's too. I don't know. I don't want to say it's like a blockbuster or something like that. I was alarmingly reminded of the last season of Game of Thrones at several points. That's not a good place to be.
I was just about to say, where's the Starbucks coffee cup on the table?
The one line that got me was where you remember Carmilla, of course, the sort of like main instigator of the vampire plot in season 2. At one point, they introduced these 4 vampire sisters, and essentially it's explained they all have a role. One of them's the military, one of them's diplomacy, the other one's administration. Basically, the 3 kinds of mana in Europe Universalis. Random thought discard. But basically, like at one point, Hector goes, "So what's Carmilla's purpose?" And one of them just goes like, "Oh, she's the planner, she's the fury, she's the smart one." And I was just reminded of the Arya Stark line. Sansa's the smartest person I know. You've said this. Demonstrate it. Like, where are their abilities? Like, if you're going to say something. You have to substantiate it. This happens all the time when Trevor gets into combat, where they show him to be in some kind of peril. When on several occasions he is fighting like half a dozen Hellspawn and like makes quippy jokes throughout it. And it's like half a dozen Hellspawn was the final boss of season 1. Like, you got to substantiate your peril. It just does a shit in the whole show. Like, it's just it's a first draft. It is a first draft. Like, there is no way somebody wrote this and then somebody checked it and went, "This is fine." That didn't happen. I can't imagine a universe where that happened.
Here's the ultimate question, though. Given if they turned around and said to get season 3, it's going to take 3 years, or we can give you like shitty side stories in the meantime. Won't take away from the development of season 3 at all, but we'll just give you like a season of side story filler stuff.
I think that's
just
what
to tide you over. Just to tide you over in the meantime while we do the rest of the main season. Would you have said no to that?
I think this is what this literally is. I think this is basically their equivalent of a filler arc for while someone is doing the next one. I think you're right, Lewis, that this was a first draft story that was rushed out, and that they've got someone else probably writing to take from another actual game. Like, I think they've already given a copy of another.
To be further, to address your question, Ben, you're entirely correct. No, if that is the plan, then I'm absolutely on board with that. I'm always happy to have more content, and if it doesn't take away from the quality of later content, that's fine. In which case, I'll make a full review once I have all of the content. As it stands now, I've received no indication that this is anything but the actual content. I'm judging it as harshly as it deserves.
Yeah, it was just theoretical.
You're quite correct. No, you're quite correct. I would absolutely. If this is some side content, yep, absolutely, I'll completely take it. And if season 4 of Castlevania is a return to the heights of season 1 or season 2, you know what? Fuck it, fine. I'll eat my words here, and I'll say, season 3 was a bit of a distraction, but hell, it was more Castlevania. Who doesn't want that? But this is bad. It's not good. Like,
6 out of 10.
The worst thing I can say about it, and the most scathing review I can say about it, is it's completely skippable. It is completely skippable, and you will not lose anything from skipping it. It has as many negative.
It's a filler arc, yeah.
It has as many negative points to pull down its positive points, to the point where it is a net 0 or in fact a net negative. You can skip it, and you will not be worse off.
See, is it one where there's actually anything you have to fill in some, like...
No, really, because...
Is there anything that if you didn't watch this and went into where it ends, going into season 4...
Watch the last episode.
Yeah.
You can get away with the last episode.
I don't even think you'd need the last... I don't even think
you would. No, you would to answer one question, Hugh. You need to answer literally one question, and that would be it.
I'd say one episode.
That. I don't even think you need the final episode, and that's the thing.
You would, but it'd be hard to explain without spoiling it for Ben.
I don't think you do. I genuinely
just fucking do it. It's been spoiled at this point.
No, it's fine.
No. We haven't spoiled it that hard, trust me.
I genuinely think that final episode you do not need. I think that I know the exact.
Well, no, you need one scene from it. But we're saying
I'm saying that one scene I don't actually think you need at all. I think you could do the next season and you don't need that scene. I think you can just carry on and you won't actually miss things. It'll be one of those, what? All right, fair enough. And that'll be it. Literally, people would see it and go, oh, fair enough. And that'll be it. Like, that would be
No, I disagree with that. But...
See, my big issue is you're talking about sisters who I have no clue who they are, and they're clearly being picked up as a big enemy, and I'd be walking into the next season going, who the fuck are these chuckle folks?
Yeah, and it's like...
What's going on there?
To understand the end of, you need to see Alucard's last scene. You'd have to see Hector's last scene, and I don't know what they're gonna fucking do with Trevor and Cypher at this point. But ironically, despite them being probably the closest to main characters, they've probably got the most missable plot of all because they don't do anything of note or permanence.
Don't they just get sent out by some judge to monster hunt?
Yeah, pretty much, and yeah, they hunt monster. Done.
It's just it's go to this village. Something weird's going on. Investigate.
That's it.
It's a D&D one shot.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Actually, it is.
It is.
Including where right at the end of it, the guy who gave you the quest turns out was shadier than you thought. Like, fucking
moral ambiguity.
Oh wait, you mean like Ben's character?
Oh, I'm just going to chuck a
Look,
dab on that.
We're going to have to cut this. 'cause
Obligatory don't talk about things people won't get.
No one knows what we're talking about.
Dabbing on that. Do I get to talk about D'Artagnan now? Please let me talk about D'Artagnan.
No, you don't.
No, D'Artagnan talked about D'Artagnan enough.
What other shows have people been watching this season?
That's it for me. I'm afraid I'm out. Bye.
I watched like I haven't finished it yet, but I've been watching Inspector.
I
quite like Inspector. I quite
really
like
like
Inspector.
Inspector's quite good. I quite enjoy it.
Inspector's got pacing issues.
Good talk, everyone.
Yeah, Inspector's got pacing issues, but Inspector is like Monogatari light without the weird, creepy stuff, and I rather
that is my exact review of it.
That's probably the best review
I will plus one that review.
No, thank you. Like literally, that is the thing. It's like Monogatari without the weird stuff. It goes, okay, here are two characters that are going to interact and have to deal with weird, kind of over the top supernatural stuff. Lewis, you're breathing very loud into the mic, mate.
Perfect.
And it's
Just so the listener knows I'm behind them.
It has one issue in that it lets the where they want to end the show dictate the pace, as opposed to going, we could, change this up slightly. But I like it. I really do like it. I like the characters in that they start off being a bit one note and do start to develop quite well throughout the show. It's got a nice villain who is actually morally ambiguous and genuinely interesting as a result. It's got a genuine over-the-top premise that, despite the fact it's over the top, it feels grounded somehow, despite the fact the main villain of the second half is a faceless, big-boobed idol carrying around a giant steel girder. That is the main villain of the second arc, and yet somehow...
It's amazing they managed to capture my mum so accurately in animation.
And yet somehow it feels grounded. Like, it's weird. Somehow it still feels grounded, because they've managed to create a world where that can exist, but they then explain why that is a threat, and they show why it's a threat without having to, make you laugh it off. You see it the first time and think that looks a little weird, but they demonstrate to you very well, this is why this is a threat. And this is why you need to take it seriously, even if it is strange. There's a reason it looks like this. And why does it look like that? Well, it's because it's the form that most people would recognize that character in. And it's like, yeah, okay, everything makes sense. Everything is grounded. The characters talk well to each other and have some nice, interesting dialogue. There's good interactions. The action's actually pretty well put together when they have it. I like it. I like it a lot.
It has a lot of various different things, I feel like, in one show. Like there's a bit of actiony stuff, there's a bit of murder mystery, there's a bit of supernatural. It's quite well put together. As I think I agree with you with what I've seen anyway of it. It does have some pacing issues, like some bits do feel a bit like slow or how they're doing things. But I mean, it's got an enjoyable cast of characters. And...
I didn't need the final showdown to take me 4 episodes. That's the main problem.
A Dragon Ball Z fight.
Yeah, and that's the main problem. But I also everybody give me your power. But then again, I know why it was
that happens
twice, and I was still interested during those 4 episodes. I'm like, this could be faster, but I'm still watching it and still enjoying it. It's like Attack on Titan Season 1 pacing issues, where it's like, this has got pacing issues. It's
whoa! What you throwing some shade there, boy?
No, what I'm saying is Season 1 of Attack on Titan had pacing issues, but I most of it, but I still enjoyed it.
I ain't hearing this shit. I'm getting up. I'm leaving. Fuck off. I'm gone.
There is an entire episode of Season 1 of Attack on Titan that is just, they've got guns pointed at them. It's, why shouldn't we shoot you? 20 minutes later. And I'm like,
It's because there was 20 minutes worth of discussion to go through.
I feel my point is getting lost.
It's because they didn't want to shoot kids!
I feel my point is getting lost in translation here.
Have better examples!
In that, even though season 1 of Attack on Titan had pacing issues, I still very much enjoyed every single episode. Same with Inspector. It has pacing issues. I still enjoyed every single episode. And I think that's the thing. I think Inspector might have been my favorite thing this season because it was the show that I was the most interested to go back to every time one finished. The moment an episode finished, I immediately went, I'm really looking forward to finding out what happens next. And the other good show this season, which is Isaac-en, had the issue where I didn't really care what happened next. I just wanted to I was just like, I'll watch it because I'm enjoying it, but if they stopped now, I wouldn't lament its loss.
Yeah, I'm 100% like that with Isaac-en as well, Hugh. Like, I enjoy watching it. I have zero investment, though.
Oh yeah, I would not lament its loss. If halfway through the season with Isaac-en, we've moved on to another show, by the way. If halfway through the season with Isaac-en, when they showed their little robot show to everyone at the school festival, if at that point they went, show's finished, by the way, I wouldn't write and go, where's my next 5 episodes? I'd be like, yeah, all right, cool, and got up and left, and I would not lament its loss.
I enjoyed some very nice animation and discussion about how anime is made. I enjoyed some nice little characters with it, but I have zero investment and can't tell you any of their fucking names.
I have a major issue that it's directed by the same guy that directed Devilman, and I think much like every work he's going to do for the rest of his life,
Will be compared to Devilman.
I will be sat there and I'll be like, it's good. It's no Devilman, but it's good. And I think that's the current issue. He's kind of peaked in my mind, and I want to see him. I can't. What's his name? What is the guy who directed Devilman's name? Anyone know?
Hidetaka Miyazaki.
No,
it's Chris McDevilman.
There we go, Chris McDevilman. Seriously, could someone get that up, please? But yeah,
I've been up this whole time.
I feel like I really do want him to prove me wrong. I feel like he has.
Masaki Yuasa.
Thank you. I feel like he has peaked slightly with Devilman. So whenever I watch something like Isaac-en, I'm thinking it's very good because he's made it and he clearly knows how to direct and he clearly knows how to put things together. But am I invested? Not really. Do I want to watch another episode? Not really.
I found it weird that he did it because obviously this is also the guy who did like Ping Pong and Tatami Galaxy and shit like that. I find it strange, right? This is going to sound really weird. They picked a show about animation, like specifically the act of animation, right? Okay. Out of all the people to pick to direct it, they picked the one guy who has got art style in abundance and not that great animation.
They did make a very good choice of. Essentially, we need to have a lot of good animation here. How do we do that on our budget? Well, let's have it where the animation...
Good animator. I'm not being funny. Get Trigger to do it.
Let's make it where the animation isn't finished or it's a bit slapdash because it's being made by children.
Oh, yes, less work.
No, exactly. That's the thing. They've gone, limitation creates art. They went, here is something which looks good in the animation-wise, but not the greatest in terms of polish, because that's the point.
I don't think it looks good. I just don't I don't care if it doesn't look good. That's the point. Don't care.
No. Again, I'm distinctly aware it is. That's the point, and I'm not defending it. I know exactly why they've done it, but I'm not defending it for it doing it. I believe that this is a show that I think as we've said, Ben, it's good. Like, stick an episode on in the background, stick an episode on in front of me, I'll happily watch it for 25 minutes. The moment the episode finishes, I'm not going to be like, all right, put the next one on. I'll be exactly. Cool. I'll be like, cool, let's move that. I mean, I haven't even watched the final 3 episodes. I think that's the issue. I'm like, I like it when it's on. I don't feel I need to move back to it. It's not like with something like Fate, like with Fate Grand Order Babylonia, for instance, where I felt I need to see the next one. I want to see the next one here. Or something like Inspector, I need to see what happens next. But this is like, no, I don't need this. I don't need the next episode.
This is kind of summarizes this past season for me in a way of, I don't think there was actually a single show this past season that I actually went, I need to see the next episode. There wasn't a show where I was like, oh, the next episode's out, go watch it, like instantly, like I have done, or waiting for the episode to come out. There wasn't a single show this season that did that to me.
And you'd think us all being stuck inside would have forced that a bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, we've only been stuck inside like 2 weeks, mate.
And you would have, and you would have.
Actually, no, I'll take that back. I'll take that back.
I finished that joke of the fucking show goes to Joe there.
And but I think I completely agree with you, Alastair. Completely agree.
I'll take that back. There is one show that I have been watching week by week, and I really want to keep watching week by week. That is, I've been watching because I finally caught up, so I can actually now watch it seasonally. Is Railgun, and the problem is
Railgun's good.
Getting delayed in Japan because of the fucking virus.
Oh no, people are being safe. Like
I know, but still,
how dare they care about their safety, Hugh?
In the nicest possible way, Alistair. Like, oh well.
I know, no, I get it. I get it. Don't worry.
It's like the people that got angry that ReZero season 2 got delayed. I'm like, come on, guys! Like, they're literally risking their lives to make this if they did.
I mean,
don't
you got.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not like angry that this is a thing. I'm just pointing out that the fact that there is a show this season that I would have watched happily week by week, but
it's just not coming out as often.
Yeah, it's not coming out regularly.
I will agree with you. I like Railgun a lot as well. Sorry,
I'm just going to take a drink here because I'm going to be the one bringing it up again. It's a depressing time, but Hideaki Anno makes his best work while he's depressed. So as long as you know this virus is happening, the last Evangelion movie is just going to keep getting better.
It's true. It's very true,
dude. The last Evangelion movie is going to make us. Going to make us all transcend, and I can't wait for it.
It's going to make us all transcend, or the podcast is just going to start with the first ever video of a podcast where it's just the three of us downing vodka, and then we just go, so Evangelion came. Oh, the others have already died of alcohol.
Three of us? Which two of us? Yeah, Ben.
I've already turned the tank.
The others have... Joe has been replaced with literal tango poured over a chair, and I'm already dead of alcoholism by that point.
Okay, fair. I like Railgun as well, by the way, Alastair. Just a little square point. It's enjoyable. It's nice to go back to the characters I liked. That's kind of all I can really say, considering it's the third season of the show. It's nice characters I like.
If you like Railgun, you'll like Season 3 of Railgun. That's basically all
it is one of those. It's a comfortable show that hasn't come out so often that I'm bored of the characters yet. A la My Hero Academia, which has finally lost my interest now, and I have just stopped watching it.
I'm literally waiting to binge watch it in arcs at this point. Like, I'm just going to wait until it's finished, and I'm going to binge.
Well, it has, by the way, mate. The season finished.
Yeah, now the dub hasn't.
Fair. My Hero Academia. I already knew in season 2 it wasn't great, but it's starting to. Season 4 hit its stride of just complete mediocre, and I was like, oh yeah, this is me done now. Sorry.
The problem is I can't tell whether for me the reason I'm kind of bored with it is because I already know the plot, because this is still part of the manga that I've already read. So, because like previously I was watching it because I wanted to know what happens, and because I already know what happens at this point still, it's kind of like whether that's just thrown me out of it, which it probably has. It hasn't helped. But it's still also like...
No, good. Mine's more just a side thing.
Yeah, it's still just like, at this point, I'll still watch it at some point, but it's when I get round to watching it.
It's a very clear someone turned round to the author and went, this thing's going to be going for the next 10 to 15 years. Space yourself out, bud. And he doesn't have that many ideas. He just doesn't, unfortunately.
My opinions on My Hero Academia are well on record at this point, so I will be able to punctuate this conversation with a quick ha 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 ha. Told you.
I think I was with you when you first said it during the first podcast. I just think that now I've hit the exact same point of done now. Thank you. I was watching it for the cultural zeitgeist viewing more than anything else, just so I knew what people are talking about. Now I'm just like, I don't care if I miss out on this anymore, because I'm not enjoying it. I don't want to have to slog through 25 minutes of something that's a bit boring to me anymore. It's not even funny to tweet it or anything. It's just kind of hit a wall. I'm done, thanks. Like,
yeah, the only thing I know about Nakadaka new season is that people were apparently surprised when Jiro's voice actor can actually sing quite well.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't even hit that point.
I don't know when it is. I just know that it happened because people that I heard talk about it.
I think.
Yeah, I know when it is. I haven't gotten to that episode yet, but I know where it is because
there is an entire arc which is a school festival, and the main villain is a guy that just wants to do crime to put on his YouTube channel.
This is when I said before they started season 4. No, this is when I said before they started season 4. And I said this as I really hoped that they didn't end season 4 on the Gentle arc. This guy is called Gentle.
Gentle criminal.
Yes, that is literally his name. This is the most anticlimactic arc of My Hero, and it's the fact that it's coming out at the end of a season and not at the beginning. Is just
it's just.
I really wish you'd just done a 13 episode season of the other arc, and then maybe do this later, but not after the big massive arc.
I think My Hero Academia peaked with Stain, the hero killer, and that's it. That Stain was the perfect villain for the show, literally the perfect villain for the show, and they got rid of him in a single arc.
They got rid of him in about 4 episodes, I think.
Yeah, done,
yeah.
Finished. Here's some more villains. Who's your next villain? Oh, well, this guy, he wants to create bullets which get rid of people's powers. Okay, is that going to be a long-running thing? No, he's just going to be done at the end of the arc.
Well, it was a long-running thing in the manga, in the sense I swear the manga it took twice as long to get through that arc that it did in the show.
I think My Hero Academia is running into the villain of the problem, but it's villain of the arc problem. They're going, here's our new villain.
That's just every shonen.
Yeah, and that's the issue.
That's every shonen.
It's run into the same problem. It's here is your villain. They will be around for 6 to 12 episodes. The moment their 6 to 12 episodes is up, they will be gone. I hope you enjoy them for that time period, because the moment they're done, you will not see them again, and that's happened. It's just happened now. And our supposed proper main villain, Mr. Hand on Face, he just kind of turns up every so often and is like, I'm still here, and then he walks off.
He's very busy at the moment, making sure that all his hands have been washed for at least 20 seconds.
Nice.
Nah, that's true. Fuck, Joe, you're on fire with these subtle jokes.
That's not subtle.
Yeah, I was going to say that really wasn't subtle.
No,
I enjoyed the Ari arc, mainly because I thought that I just really like the soundtrack for when they actually grab her. That.
The soundtrack's still good.
My Hero soundtrack is the saving grace. My Hero.
The soundtrack is lit, and the soundtrack somehow. The soundtrack still manages to get me hyped about bits. The All for One versus One for All got me hyped because of the music and just because of the sheer sort of scale of the magnitude of what was happening there. It managed to get me emotionally invested, when before I was kind of just I don't really care much about many of these characters because it seems like we're just throwing in new characters that I don't want to concentrate on really, but then manages to pull it out through soundtrack tactics, which are kind of a bit cheap in the fact that they'll put on a really fucking good song and it'll be I'm having emotions from listening to good music, and then hey
man, it's not cheap. Good music is the reason I watch most things.
Exactly, but it uses the good music to then be aha, a gentle hammer on your rib cage is now deafening war mallet.
Dude, what's Sawano doing right now?
No clue. Looking forward to finding out. Yeah, just still on My Hero, but a side thing of it. I get that it's popular, but after the travesty that was its first, the My Hero Academia One's Justice game, why is that getting a sequel?
Was the first one a travesty?
I thought it was like from what I saw of it, I think it was terrible. I don't
think
know if
people
it sold
didn't
well.
like
I
it
thought it was
because most of
terrible.
the. I think people didn't like it because most of the heroes were done as DLC. Is why I thought they didn't. Like,
That's why you
initial
buy
roster
the
was, like-
second one.
Yeah, and the second one comes with like all the heroes from the first game, including all DLC ones and a fuck ton of extra characters and stuff. And it's just like, it's 3D fighters like that. I'm not that big a fan of anyway. I like my fighting games 2D.
What was the jump?
2.5D for me.
What was the
2.5D is good. Yeah, 2.5D.
What was the Jump one that came out?
Jump Force. It was terrible.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't that supposed to be garbage?
Yeah, that was
that one genuinely was.
That one was a pile of trash.
This is why I'm waiting for the Fairy Tail ripoff of Persona.
I thought it was a Warriors game.
This is why I'm waiting for Persona.
There is literally a Fairy Tail game coming out that has a turn-based mechanic, and when you literally the UI looks exactly like Persona 5's.
Nice. No, yeah, I'm pretty sure they also did a Fairy Tail Warriors style game as well.
Yeah,
I haven't picked any up. I'm pretty sure they did one. Yeah, I did really enjoy Fairy Tail for a while. Like I really did, and then as with all things, it kind of just petered out for me.
I enjoyed Fairy Tail just because it was like the anime that got me into anime properly, so I kind of have a nostalgia trip for it.
Mm-hmm,
it actually finished properly not that long ago. The anime completely. The final arc's a bit messy, but that's normally what happens with the final arc of a shonen. It's always messy because basically the writer gets told, "Please finish now."
See one of our previous podcasts for that conversation.
Speaking of please finish now, fuck off, everyone.
Final season of Food Wars is coming out soon. I can't wait to see how that train wrecks.
I'm not even gonna fucking watch it.
I will, because I need to be a completionist.
Are you telling me we're not going to cut it at fuck off, everyone?
Oh no, we're going to cut it now.
We'll edit it so that's at the end.
Ben, we're cutting it now.